Welcome, Gainers, to Behind the Tag. My guest star today is...
J.P.Switchmania.
How's it going, JP?
Good, how are you?
I have to ask, where did you come up with the whole J.P.Switchmania?
Yeah, it was funny because when I first joined Twitter, I barely used it. It was under my, actual name. And then I'm sure we'll get into this, but I slowly got into the Switch and I was still using my regular name. But then when I started to get really more involved with the community and I started collecting more, I started trying different names out. I didn't even know what I should use on social media. I was on Facebook just under my, my own account, but on Twitter is where I kind of started just seeing myself posting things. And yeah, like I tried the Nintendo Switch Collector. I tried like different versions of the Switch Maniac, the Switch Mania. And then one day I did a poll and I was just like, oh, like what should my name be? And I kind of came up with a few. I had people write suggestions and somehow J.P.Switchmania, formed. So it's really like J.P.'s Switchmania, which was like my initials. And then obviously I love the Switch. And then just on Twitter, it's just J.P.Switchmania, just based on, the characters. But yeah, it's been almost, I think this is like I want to say 2018, maybe 2019. I don't even remember anymore. It just feels like years now. And now I go by JP and I never went by that growing up at all. So it's just been a whole new persona for me.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Short answer.
Short but good. So I see you're into the Switch quite a bit. So what started getting you into video games to begin with?
Yeah, so I grew up playing video games. My parents bought us the NES. That's where I started like my own like enjoyment of it. But my dad had the Odyssey too, and that's where I was introduced to gaming. So we'd play that together, and then the time came where my sister and I we liked video games, and the original NES was the thing to get. So they bought that for us. They bought the Game Boy for us, and then just throughout the years, I just was really into video games. I wasn't a big collector. I was young at that time. I was 8, 9 when I really started playing games. But, I went through all the eras, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, N64, Saturn, and so on. And then I eventually worked for Babbage's, which became GameStop. So I just, my first real job was video games. And yeah, the passion never left me. I just always enjoyed it. It's just always been a fun hobby, a fun escape, and just something fun to be part of.
So growing up with all those different type of game systems, what was your favorite one?
It's funny. I really liked the Saturn, and I didn't have any of the rare games. I mean, I didn't even know back then that you needed the memory card. So I'd play Nights into Dreams, and I would always turn it off, and I'd quickly turn it back on, and it would save my spot. But I can never understand why I can never get further, when I turn it off. I'm like, this is weird. Like, I always have to start from the beginning. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized, oh, memory cards were a thing. And they kind of got introduced around like that PS1, N64, Saturn era. But I really always loved the Saturn. I love different types of consoles. I've always felt like, people were playing the Game Boy. I loved the Game Gear. People were getting the N64. I got the Saturn. And yeah, I think the Saturn was just a lot of fun. I have a lot of good memories playing those type of games. I like that, it was a little bit different system than the other ones. So that was one. And then before the Switch, which obviously now my favorite system, I would say the PSP. It was when I was working at GameStop. So, the PSP was alive and well, and I got the employee discount. So it was easy to, kind of grab those titles as they were coming out and not pay full price. And I just started slowly building up this big PSP collection over the years. And I recently, sold it kind of to fund my Switch enthusiasm. But, I finished at around like 200 plus games on the PSP. And like looking back, it was such a great system. I loved the cases. I actually liked the UMDs. And I just loved like the games that they had for it. So yeah, I would say like the PSP is probably my second favorite system. The Saturn was my third. And the Switch is my first.
Nice. Did you ever modify your PSP at all?
I did not. I am like not tech savvy at all. Like, the computer breaks and I'm just banging on it, trying to turn it back on. I blow into the NES, but no, I've seen videos and I've always like wanted to mod things to either be able to play off of like a SD card or be able to, just do other things with it. But no, I always just kept the systems exactly as they were. How about you?
I had a PSP and I modded the living hell out of it. Had a modded case for it, and I had it to where it'd play off SD cards and
Oh, that's
holders.
awesome. I did like emulators on PC, so I'd have like the SNES one and NES, and I'd play like those. But the actual consoles, I just never could figure out how to do. I commend people that are able to do that. I'm afraid I'm just gonna brick the system, and then it's just gonna be a paperweight. But
I usually wait like a generation or two before I actually start messing with it.
yeah,
So
I don't blame you.
I think it was the PS Vita came out, and I started messing with my original PSP.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but Sega Saturn, that is an oldie but goodie. That was a great system. I used to play what was it, House of the Dead on that system for a bit.
Like to me, I remember Clockwork Knight, Virtual Fighter, obviously Nights into Dreams, the Sonic 3D Blast, and it's weird because I look back and I was never into like, I honestly don't think I was ever into the big games that ended up becoming the rare ones, or like the high profile games, to my opinion. Like I didn't play Panzer Dragoon when it first came out. I didn't play Saga. I didn't play really RPGs for the Saturn. I just played like a lot of platformers and whatnot. But I just remember really enjoying it. I started off going to Blockbuster and renting it. So I had like the Blockbuster case that you take home for the weekend with the system in it. And I just remember just being a really cool system. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, and now I look back and I'm like, I can never collect for that. The games are just way too much money individually, and it's like I couldn't even attempt a complete collection on that. But it's fun to remember and reminisce.
Man, yeah, Blockbuster, man, that brings back some memories. Going in on a Friday night just to get a new game. Oof.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny. I forget where I was seeing it, but Blockbuster seems to kind of become a topic again. I just see it, in different groups, and as people remember things, like if you're in like a '90s group and stuff. But yeah, it's weird, like going after school, like for the weekend, and hoping like the game that you want to get is available because the box is there, but you hope that a copy's behind it. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I rented a lot of games from there, and yeah, good times. I miss it.
So, I guess that brings us up to the Switch now is your number one system.
It is. Surprise, shocker.
So tell me, what type of things are you doing with the Switch right now?
Yeah, it's I mean, right this minute, aside from trying to play games and find time, my whole channel is Switch focused. So I'm a physical collector. What I do on my channel is I always let people know what's coming out. If I see deals, I'll post those. But really, like I want my channel to just be a source of information on all things physical Switch. So when a game is getting announced, or it goes up for pre-order, or it's the last week or last day of something being available, I want my channel to be a source where people can go to. And my goal has always been, I don't want anybody to miss out on a physical title. Especially, as we're talking about retro games and them getting more expensive, the same thing's happening for the Switch, where, I see limited companies, have a certain run, and then it ends, and then I see people go, oh, I missed it. I wish I knew about it. I wish I set a reminder. So my channel has always been about that. For a good while when I first started, which I started my channel August 2018 is when I officially started my website. And that was a source for reviews, previews. I had a team of reviewers. So, I'd be on press lists and we review upcoming games. We try and do some videos, things like that. And then I also did a weekly release post. So every week I put a list of games that are coming out for sale or for pre-order. And then every week I do it again. And I've been doing that since I think January 2019, a little bit later, but I haven't stopped. So if you go on my website now, you'll see every Saturday night, Sunday morning, I'll post, this upcoming week's releases. With the reviews, I did end that a little while ago because my reviewers wanted to do some other things. And then my next venture that I'll talk about is kind of took over my entire life, which is premium edition games. So aside from collecting and playing games, I'm now helping to publish physical games for the Switch. And it's been a crazy ride. I partnered with my co-host for our weekly playcast series, which is called Switchmania Playcast. We started that, and we still do that every, I don't want to say every week anymore. We've been a little bit busy, so it's maybe like every other week. And we have a third person, Barry, who's with us as well on that. But then Jeffrey, my co-host, one day was just like, why don't we start thinking about publishing games? And we're thinking about it for like over a year. And then finally, this past August, we decided to launch our company. We launched with our first pre-order of Super Blood Hockey. And then in November, we launched with the Pigeon Dev Games Collection, which is 4 complete games on 1 cartridge. So it's Awesome P1, Awesome P2, Bucket Night, and Explosive Jake, all from the same developer. And about 2 weeks ago, we started shipping our first 2 games finally. So it's been just a whirlwind since August, really, and that's really taken up a lot of my life. But it's been really good. It's been a lot of fun now seeing people get the games in, starting to unbox them, and I can go in a little bit more later as to something special that we're doing with all of our releases. But when it comes to the Switch, I'm helping to publish games, and I'm still trying to keep everybody informed of what's coming out. So my channel, hasn't stopped. Like, if you go on Twitter, I won't be posting now during our conversation, but before and after, you'll see me posting at all hours of the day. I just don't sleep. I just live, breathe, and eat the Switch. So I love it.
Well, congratulations on your release.
Thank you.
So that is amazing. You're doing the physical copies for a lot of these for these digital games and stuff. That is awesome.
And they're real. So it's really cool. And we had to keep this a secret until it started getting shipped out so people could see the reveal. But in all of our releases, we're including like an NES style dust sleeve.
Oh wow!
And then we have a official North American ESRB release. And what's really cool is my author, or my partner who is an author also, he wrote the Switch Collector Volume 1 book that I helped him with. He's written the complete NES guide, complete SNES guide. He's done a whole bunch of books. So he's an author. He loves physical written print. So of course we had to go with full manuals, old school NES style, 20 plus pages. Like, I mean, I'm really impressed. I mean, he has such a great vision, and then we just were able to make it happen. So we just have inside cover art, and it's been wild. It's really weird when you have a concept and you're like, yeah, let's make a game, let's sign a game, let's see if we can do this. And then like slowly you keep seeing the pieces come out, right? So he's like, here's the mock-up for the manual, here's the mock-up for the artwork. You submit it to Nintendo, it gets approved, you actually get it manufactured, you get the cartridges in, and it's just now it's here. It's like people literally are posting pictures of our game that's added to their collection, hopefully forever, and it's official. It's wild. So it's crazy.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness, that dust sleeve, that brings back some old school memories, man.
And that's the thing. It's just he grew up with the Atari era. I grew up with the NES, but we grew up when you would actually get stuff in the box, in the case. It wasn't just a white backing. It wasn't just a little piece of paper that says go online to read the manual. I mean, it was really like you kind of like pre-game the game by going through the manual and looking at everything. And that's what we want to bring back. And what's crazy is one other thing that he came up with is the idea of our challenges. So we call them premium challenges, and I'll probably just take it out again. But inside each of the games, we have a card. So instead of just a regular trading card, which has the logo, the number of the release, on the back is an actual challenge. And when you do this challenge and you just follow the rules, which is really just post your completion on social media, email us the link, we mail you an actual patch for free. And the patch is specific to the game. So they'll be limited in number, and we'll give them out for free as long as they're available. But what's really cool is, we started seeing people immediately doing them, and it's people actually opening up the games, playing them, and we're getting the feedback where people were like, I normally probably wouldn't have even played this, and you got me to play it because of this challenge, and I love the game, and I just can't stop playing it. And you see the developer get involved on social media and really excited about people playing his game, and we mail you a patch for free. I mean, it's just like, to me, it's fun. It gets people to actually enjoy the games. And then you get a little, commemorative patch to show that you did it. And also, because there's no achievement system for Nintendo on the Switch, this is our version of the achievement system.
That is a missing thing on the Switch, is the achievements, and that is a great way to bring achievements to the Switch. I will have to say that is an amazing idea.
Thank you. If someone told me one day I'm gonna be on this side of the industry and the community, I wouldn't have believed it. I never thought I would be doing this. And 2 years ago, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. It's everybody's dream that you want to do something professionally with video games. And I never thought I would. I thought, for me, it'd be sharing the news and things like that. But now to actually have games in the catalog and then also have future games that are going to be coming out, it is wild. It's surreal, and it didn't feel real until we actually knew the games were shipping. Because up until that point, people pre-order, they know us in the community, so they know we'll deliver on the product, but nobody's seen it yet. Nobody's held it. Nobody's enjoyed it. And now it's just like a whole new experience, and it feels fun, and it's great. And I'm glad we get to do that for the developers to just help preserve their games.
That is an amazing concept and idea. I mean, bar none. That's I can't even believe how you would even start something like that. To even get into to just emailing everybody that you'd have to just to get the ability to do that. That's a lot of work, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I owe a lot to my partner. He did a lot of I call it the grunt work early on. Like, we registered our company name, and then you can go to like the Nintendo, there's a developer portal, but you have to, do a submission. You have to make sure you have everything in order. And then even after that, it's funding, it's securing contracts, it's working with developers and finding someone who's willing to really take a chance on a new company. Because you're not proven, even though Jeffrey is proven with his books. He's also done NES homebrew games that he's released. But in terms of something of this scale of an actual Nintendo Switch physical game, we're still unproven in that sense. So, we got very lucky with Digirati, who's a digital publisher, and Loren Lemke, who's the developer for Super Blood Hockey. And then also the Pigeon Dev developer and the digital publisher for them. They're called Pinkerator. We reached out to them, we talked with them, and they believed in us. They let us take their baby and do something with it, and it feels great that these are our first two games because it means a lot to us that they believed in us and they liked our vision of what we wanted to do with their games, and now it's cool just seeing it in person.
So, what made you choose these games to be your firsts?
Yeah, so we were looking at one good thing about Jeffrey is that because he's working on the Switch Collector book, which chronicles the Switch year by year, and we did year one, we get to start looking into the digital games. And, we're looking out already like, year 2 and 3. But as we're going through this, we're seeing, okay, which games never got a physical? Which games got good reviews or considered hidden gems where maybe not a lot of people knew about them? And, these two games, they kind of just I don't know, they just came up on, on our feed. We were researching a little bit and we realized, like for Super Blood Hockey, there's not a lot of sports games for the Switch. There's no true hockey game. There's no solo hockey game for the Switch. When you think about it, there's a European collection of like 3-in-1 junior sports leagues, which is like kitty hockey, kitty, I think basketball and soccer. But there's nothing, to this extent that to me was just like a hockey game. And when we got to see it and kind of see what it was about, where it's just like NES style ice hockey, blades of steel, and it's just bloody. I mean, every time you hit, pixelated blood's just flying everywhere. It's M-rated. We were like, this is a fun game, and we're just enjoying it. And so we reached out to the developer, reached out to the publisher, just started talking with them, and we kind of just came to an agreement that's like, yeah, we want to work with you and do this game, and that was the first one. And then with the Pigeon Dev Games collection, I actually was already on the press list for Pinkerator because we've reviewed their games on our channel, and we were just kind of like in communication. And then when we announced our company, they reached out to us, or I guess it's like one person. So the person reached out to us, and we just started talking about the lineup of games. We talked about what we want to do with our releases, and he mentioned that this developer had these games. And I brought up the idea of, well, what about doing like a multi-cart, having 4 games on one? Because for us, we want to really give a lot of value, and we know that if we could put multiple games on one cartridge, why wouldn't we want to do that? And it gives somebody the option to play lots of different games. These games are really good pick up and play. They're good speed run games. So we started throwing around the idea, and the developer was all for it. And so our first release was like really the first hockey game for the Switch, and the second game was one of the first like 4-in-1 multi-cart games for North America, because there's not really too many of them. And yeah, it was just that ended up being our first 2 releases, and it was just it's been fun to work on. We're not done yet because with the Pigeon Dev Games collection, we have a retro edition that's coming out. That's going to come in a retro box, and this one will be stylized after like a black box for the NES. and then we're going to have an official steelbook inside of it, which is going to be in the style of a retro CRT TV. So it looks really cool, and you can actually go up on our YouTube channel and see the like the metal printing proof of it. Like, it's still flat, but you can see what the design will be. And then the deluxe edition is going to have a premium guide where Jeffrey and another person on our team who's an author, it's nearly a 200-page book that covers all 4 games with a walkthrough, interviews with the developer, behind the scenes of how we, publish this game and about our company. So it's like an all-encompass hardcover book. And then the game itself will be housed in like a Neo Geo style box. They all go in a slipcover together. It'll have an enamel pin. It's going to have a soundtrack CD. So it's like a nice big collector set. And those are still in production. So we still have some more stuff for Pigeon Dev coming out. But yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And it's really going to, I hopefully showcase kind of what we want to do as a company moving forward with all of our physical pieces.
Thank you, gamers, for joining us for this conversation. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe so you can see more of this interview and others like it. Have a good one, you guys.